The juice is loose after 9 years in prison following convictions for kidnapping and armed robbery. O.J. Simpson was granted parole by the state of Nevada.
My vote is to grant your parole effective when eligible.
I concur with Commissioner Korda and grant parole. And in addition, our decision, although difficult, is fair and just.
I concur with Commissioner Korda and agree to grant parole.
Mr. Simpson, I do vote to grant parole when eligible, and that will conclude this hearing.
Thank you.
Well, the decision came after a hearing where Simpson spoke at length about the 2007 robbery that put him in prison, while his daughter testified about wanting to spend time with her father again.
I've always thought I've been pretty good with people, and I've basically spent a conflict-free life. You know, I'm not a guy that ever got into fights on the street and with the public and everybody, but as I said, they give you a bunch of little tools about how to talk to people instead of fighting, instead of throwing punches. It's been ruled legally by the state of California that it was my property, and they've given it to me. I have it. I'm no danger to pull a gun on anybody. You know, I never have in my life. I've never been accused of it in my life. Nobody's ever accused me of pulling any weapon on them.
I don't feel that he's a threat, and I will make this clear to you. O.J. never held a gun on me.
I think I made it clear back then, I've never had an alcohol problem. And if I took that alcohol course, it would have been more, you know, for my children, in case they ended up having a problem. Well, my kids don't have a problem. I don't think anybody's ever accused me of having an alcohol problem or any kind of substance problem.
On behalf of my family, my brother, my sister, an aunt, an uncle, his friends, we just want him to come home.
I'm sorry it happened. I'm sorry to Nevada. I wish Ricio had never called me. I thought I was glad to get my stuff back, but it wasn't worth it. You know, 9 years away from your family is just not worth it, and I'm sorry.
So he's talking there about the 2007 robbery that put him away, but that's not why this is big news. We care because this guy murdered 2 people with a knife in 1995 and got off anyway. He was acquitted for the killing of his wife and her friend. Dr. Michael Baden is a forensic pathologist. He advised the Simpson defense team at that trial. Mark Furman is a former Los Angeles detective who investigated the murders, and they both join us tonight. Thanks a lot for coming on. Mark Furman, what do you make of what O.J. Simpson said today?
Well, Tucker, what's interesting is almost everything he said was either a partial lie or a lie. He beats women. He was actually prosecuted for beating Nicole, so he's been in several fights, but he beats up women. He had a weapon in the Bronco with AC Cowlings. He threatened to kill himself. He actually was partially probably holding AC Cowlings hostage in that situation. He actually told the 2 men in Las Vegas to bring guns. So he knew full well that they had guns and they were going to probably brandish them, if not more. The property that he says was his was all given back to the victim. And I know both of these facts because I talked to the very detective that handled this case today.
So, Doctor, when you see this, when you see O.J. Simpson finally a free man with no murder charges hanging over him because you helped get him acquitted, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that what Mark Furman says, it was irrelevant to today's procedure that the parole board had said right out in front that whatever happened before the 2007 incident doesn't count in their deliberations. And that,
well, sure. No, I mean, no one would contest that legally. It's not relevant legally, but let's exit the legal world and into the real world. I think most people would agree this guy committed a double murder and beat his wife, and he's kind of a horrible person. You helped get him off. So my question is, how do you feel about that?
I think that the 12 jurors didn't feel that the prosecution presented the case. I was involved as a forensic pathologist who went over all the forensic evidence, which is independent of whether he did it or not. The evidence is the evidence. The jury felt that was presented to them in the criminal trial was not sufficient to find guilty. And then in the civil case, they heard evidence and presented better, and they convicted him. And I think that the parole comes about because he was a model prisoner. And it's interesting, Tucker, I spoke to the district attorney in Las Vegas, David Roger, who prosecuted the 2007 case. They had offered him 30 months plea deal, which he refused. He could have been in for 30 months, got out, and now it's 9 years later, and there's still problems, but he felt that as long as he abided by all of the procedures necessary for probation, that it was proper to give him probation. Yeah, well, he's a man into denial. Mark Furman, I've talked to you before, but I've never asked you this question. I've always wondered. So here, O.J. Simpson, in my view, murders 2 people, gets away with it, and the trial ends, and you become the villain, and he goes to play golf. What do you think of that? Are you bitter about that?
Well, I really don't, and I never have worried about what suspects think or what they're doing or if one slips away. I mean, that's just the way things work. There's no,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, in our society, I mean, you almost never hear anybody get on TV and say, you know, O.J. Simpson's a murderer, and it's disgusting. I've heard many people say, you know, that Mark Furman's a bad guy. And I just wonder if you think it's unfair that in the view of some, maybe many, you're the villain when this guy got away with murder.
Well, the first thing, Tucker, there is no such thing as fair. The world's not fair. And you you march on with the facts that you have before you, and the facts are I'm not a murderer. So there is nothing you can call me that makes me an equal to just how evil O.J. Simpson is. I mean, when you cut the head off of your children's mother and you leave her on the steps, most probably, had we not found the body, the children would have wandered down there and found their mother in a pool of blood. When you think about that and you want to compare that to anything that you think I am, I'll take that challenge anytime.
Well, that's actually a pretty good point. So, Doctor, in today's hearing, you really got the sense that O.J. Simpson, and it looks sincere to me, didn't think he did anything wrong. And I remember having that same impression of him 22 years ago during his trial. Was that your impression? This is a guy who believes himself blameless?
No, he didn't, doesn't believe himself blameless. He took some responsibility for the fact that the reason for the 2007 episodes was because he got people there. I was surprised that he tried to defend what happened there, but he did finally take some responsibility because a security guard that he didn't know pulled out the gun. But because of the rather insignificance of the stupid thing that he was doing, Mr. Rogers, the district attorney, Mr. Roger, was able to offer him a decent plea bargain, which he refused, and he wound up getting really punishment for the murder of his wife and at the time that
Ron Goldman. My last question. Do you think he did it, Doctor? I've never asked you this. Do you think he killed him?
I think that both juries got it right as far as what was presented to the juries.
Right. No, but do you think he did it? Do you think he killed him?
I keep myself. Any opinions I have about any cases I testify, I've never testified on an opinion of what I thought somebody was guilty or innocent. I'll testify as to what the forensic science shows, what the autopsy shows.
No, I get it. I'm not asking you to testify just to count for what you think, but I don't think I'm going to get anywhere.
That's right.
Doctor, thank you. Mark Furman, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.
Jeffrey Felix is a former correctional officer at Lovelock Correctional Center, where O.J. Simpson has been held for the past 9 years. He's the author of a book called Guarding the Juice, How O.J. Simpson Became My Prison BFF. Quite a title. And yet, during today's hearing, O.J. and his attorney appeared to ridicule Felix. Watch this.
I spent the 12 years leading up to this incident in Vegas raising 2 kids in L.A. I mean, I'm sorry, in Miami. And, you know, with all the media stuff, you know, we got these guys like Jeffrey Felix making up stories and stuff. That was happening out on the street also.
Jeffrey Felix joins us now. So, I mean, this is really illustrative. We're learning that not only is he a violent killer, in my view, he's also kind of a bad friend. You say you're his BFF, and there he is slagging you in the hearing today. How'd you feel?
Yeah, I felt horrible. I mean, In my book, all I said was good things about the Jews. I said he was a model inmate. You know, he never broke any disciplinaries. He always followed rules and regulation. He treated people with respect. I didn't say anything bad about him in my book. You know, I get hammered on the streets for, you know, sticking up for the Jews. And he puts on, you know, he puts on the bus driver's uniform. It just runs me over. I mean, he threw my name out there. Over 500 million people heard that. I mean,
So
that was horrible.
Are you assessing your own ability to judge character now? You thinking maybe he's not the double murderer I thought he was? Maybe he's a bad guy now?
I don't know. All I know is how I feel betrayed. I mean, all I did was stick up for him, and he ran me over. I mean, it's horrible.
I mean, let's be real. Were you really surprised that O.J. Simpson wasn't loyal to a prison guard?
Well, he doesn't have to throw my name out there. You know, okay, look, O.J. Simpson had one shot at freedom today to the parole board, and he took that chance and threw my name out there. I mean, that's taking a risk.
Why was he mad at you, do you think?
I have no idea. Maybe it's over the cookie story. He should be more angry, and his camp should be more angry about the story that came out about the lady pleasuring, or him pleasuring himself in front of the woman guard that never happened.
Now, I haven't read your book. It's on my nightstand, but, you know, long reading list. But apparently you've got a chapter describing his private parts, the whole chapter?
Yes, that was more my co-writer's idea, but, you know, after seeing him, I kind of felt inadequate about myself.
Okay. But without even getting into any more of those details, thank you very much, I wonder if maybe that's why he's annoyed.
Well, how can he be annoyed about that? That's a compliment. I mean, if you tell him, you know, he's not working with anything, that would be horrible.
Okay. I'm siding with O.J. all of a sudden, Jeffrey, so we're going to have to cut the segment short. But thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, no problem. You guys have a great night.
You too.